Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. If you remember a few weeks ago when I did my video on the Valaverse Action Force Series 4 of figures, I said there was at least 2 figures that I was going to be picking up. This is one of those 2. This is the deluxe figure, this is Sniper Blowback, and the other one that I picked up that I'll be doing a video on when I'm done with this one is Warpath Eclipse. And I wanted to do this one first for a few reasons. One, it's the deluxe figure. 2, this has the first incarnation of Valaverse's Ghillie Suit for their snipers. And 3, I really wanted to check out this whole setup that we have going on with the sniper weapons right here. But before we get into that, please remember to leave a like down below if you like what we're talking about here. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe while you're down there as well. And don't forget to check out my Ko-fi page where we have exclusive content, and we're trying to build a community of collectors just so we can discuss this hobby of ours. It's only $1 a month to join. Now, what we have here is actually a very nice presentation. We have a very large window box here where you can see everything except the Ghillie Suit. I believe that is under the sniper case right here. Now, with the G.I.Joe Classified series, we received a sniper case as well. I don't know which one I like better. This has everything laid out in it, including the rangefinder. Low-light sniper case was very streamlined, and I really liked that. But I don't think it's going to be a preference of one or the other. I think I'm going to like them both, but we'll see once we get it open. Plus, we have the standard Valaverse assortment of hands. We can see the different head sculpts. We can see some of their other accessories with their figure stand down below, Blowback, the Action Force logo right here. Up top, the Action Force logo and the Valaverse logo. On the side, we have some really nice artwork of Blowback lining up a shot. Over here, we have that same artwork. On the back here, we have a beautiful photo of the figure in play. I really like this stance. I'm curious to see how hard it's going to be to get a stance like this out of the figure. But then down here, we have the one thing of the Action Force line that I'm very envious of, and that is the file cards. I love that Action Force put the file cards on there. I really want G.I.Joe to be able to do something like this too, even if it's digital. Come on, guys, create an app where we can have a checklist and we have virtual file cards. It would be easy. Over here, we get 5 action points for him because he is a deluxe figure. Also, I ordered this and Warpath from the Valaverse website, and I don't know if this is something that they always do, but they sent a bonus 3 action points along with the package. So, thanks for that, Bobby. Now, without further ado, let's get this open and let's take a look at the Valaverse Action Force Sniper Blowback. And remember, if you want to pick up one of these for yourself, you can do so at Entertainment Earth. Entertainment Earth is your one-stop shop for all toys, clothing, collectibles, and more. Get the newest from Hasbro, Mattel, Bandai, and Super 7, as well as exclusives that can't be found anywhere else. With over 25 years in the business, Entertainment Earth has what you want. Click the link in the description below. Okay, here he is, Sniper Blowback out of the box, and putting the tape measure to him, we can see that he is approximately, well, he's pretty much dead on 6.5 inches to the top of his flat top. Now, before we get to anything else, let's just address this, that Blowback is pretty much 100% reuse in the body. This head sculpt, I think, is the only unique thing for the figure, not the accessories necessarily, but for the figure. As a matter of fact, here he is next to the Infantry Commando. This was the Dorkside Toys exclusive, and you can see it's exactly the same figure, just with a different camo deco. As a matter of fact, let's set him down. Let's pop his head off here, and let's take a look at one of the other head sculpts that Blowback comes with, and that is the masked version. And now that we have that on there, this is the same figure, just with a different paint deco. And that is something that is pretty much a standard for Valaverse for the Action Force line. I'm not saying that's bad, because it seems fairly obvious that Action Force is more geared towards army building, towards infantry, towards troops, things like that, whereas G.I. Joe is more focused on characters and not so much army builders. As a matter of fact, even though this is a deluxe figure, you have him like this, you could army build like these camoed forest ranger type characters, type figures. And that, once again, I think is a staple of the Action Force, that you can pretty much turn anything into an army builder with this line. Okay, so let's get that guy out of the way. Let's pop this head back off. This is the head that came on the figure. This is the one eye closed. And I have to admit, I am a fan of this camo right here. I think this looks really good. This was one of the things that made me want to get the figure. In addition to the sniper rifle, which we'll take a look at in a second, and the ghillie suit, this paint deco, this camo job, I really liked. Now, I'm probably going to take off the armor and keep it off, because in the photos, and we'll see what happens once I put the ghillie suit on, but in the photos, when he has the ghillie suit on and he has a sniper rifle up, I really like him being unencumbered when he has all that on, and I feel like this bulks him up a little too much. I think I know something I can do with this, but I definitely think I'm going to be taking this off of Blowback. Now let's bring him up a little closer, and let's take a look at this face sculpt right here, because I believe this is a play on his standard face sculpt, which I think this is the standard Blowback face sculpt, just with a camo job done to it. I don't have the original Blowback figure, so I'm not entirely sure what he looked like. But this is the one eye closed, and this is the one that comes on the figure. And this is the one that I was questioning if this is accurate. Now, I'm not a sniper, I'm not a amateur competition shooter, but I don't think this is correct. I was always trained to shoot with both eyes open, even when I'm looking down a scope. I don't think this is realistically correct with the one eye closed. Now, even if it's not right, I get why Valaverse included this with the figure. This is how everybody pictures a sniper looking down the barrel or looking down the scope when he's lining a shot up. So I get why they included it. And I think it is a clever inclusion, with the one eye clamped shut and the other one wide open, that you can line up down the scope of the rifle, which we'll take a look at once we get the accessories on him. Now let's take a look at the articulation. The only thing as far as the articulation goes that kind of disappoints me, especially for the type of character this is, there's like zero rock side to side in the head. There is the full 360 spin. He can really look up and he can really look down, and I do believe that's because we have the hinge joint right here instead of that dumbbell joint that Hasbro has been favoring recently. His arms will do a full 360 spin. He has a butterfly joint in his shoulders with some really great travel to it. He does have... the arms will go up to just under 90. Mine was sticking a little there for a second. He has the bicep swivel. He has double jointed elbows that are a little sticky right now with some decent travel to them. Wrists pivot. The trigger holding hands hinge up and down, and I always appreciate that. Both of them do it on both sides. Now, underneath this, we know that there is a ab cut right in there, and you can see there is some float forward and back, a little bit of side to side. I'm trying not to move the ball joint at the waist so you can see. Plus, it will turn there as well, and then we do have the ball joint at the waist that he can do a full 360, and I think that was mostly the ab cut going on. It will crank back more. It will go forward more. Also gives him some more side-to-side rock, and you can see that vest is getting really mangled on him. Now, drop down hips. Legs will come forward. Legs will go out to the side, just under 90. Legs will go back. Let's put the hip back up into position. He has a thigh cut. Double jointed knees with some decent travel. A little chunky in the pants so it doesn't get that tight in there. Boot cut. Ankles rock back. Ankles rock forward. And then we have a forward-facing pin for some rocker. Now, before we go any further, let's get this vest off of him and see how he looks without the vest. And we just pop this off right here. I do think I don't know if you saw my short when I was having issues with the Valaverse vests. I do think the new ones attach better than the old ones. This is the first time I've actually detached one of the new ones. Let's pop the head off and get this whole shebang off. Does it only come off in one spot? Yeah. And there we go. Now underneath we have the standard buck that we've seen on all of the army builders, but once again we have that fantastic camo paint job going on. Is this the right head sculpt? No, this is it. I got blowback heads laying all around. And that's what I mean. That just looks awesome. And then once we put the ghillie suit on him, I definitely like this look for him. Not necessarily for any of the other figures. I do like the body armor, the body vests that they wear. But for him, I really dig like just this bare buck look. And here's that ab cut I was telling you about that you can get the spin out of that. He can crank back. He can crank forward. He can go side to side right there. He can also spin 360 at the waist on the ball joint. Go back, forward, side to side. Out of the box, Blowback comes with a pair of trigger hands. He comes with a pair of clenched fists. He comes with a pair of gripping hands. And he comes with those Action Force signature weapon cradling hands, which I think these are just some of the coolest hand options that have been made for a while. Now, taking a look at the accessories, we're just going to revisit these two. You've seen them already. These are the other two head sculpts that Blowback comes with. We have the masked version with the unpainted skin, and then we have the other unmasked version where he is just completely all camoed up. The main difference between this one and the one that comes on the figure is just one eye open on this one. This one has both of them open. It's hard to tell through the paint deco because of the camo, but I think his mouth is a little lopsided here too, as what normally happens when you close one eye, like this side of his mouth pulls up. It's actually a really nice touch if I'm right. That's actually a really cool detail on there. Now we're going to pop this head off and we're going to put this one on so that we have two eyes for the rest of the review. I just kind of like this one better. Also, like, I really dig how his eyes are very clear and you can just see them peering out from underneath that camo job, that face paint. I think that is really cool. Now, let's set those aside. Oh, yeah. One of the first accessories he comes with is already on him when you get him out of the packaging, and that is his sidearm right here. And there we go. This is a standard sidearm in the Action Force line. It is bored out so that it can take Valaverse blast effects. I like the two-toning of it, the sculpt. The sculpt on the Valaverse weapons is always fantastic. This is why, like, I buy weapons packs and I swap out some of my Joe weapons for Valaverse weapons. The sculpt and the paint deco on these is just fantastic. I don't think the magazine pulls out. Nope. Magazine is molded to it, but that is a great looking piece. I love the green, the two-tone of it, and as you saw, that fits in very nicely to his holster. He has the hip holster, which I don't have very many Action Force figures, but I think the first time we saw this version of the holster was with Desert Rat. Usually we have ones that cling to the legs of the figure. So let's set him there. Something else that we have is this assault rifle, which we have seen this numerous times with the Action Force line. He says as he has like maybe 5 Action Force figures, but I know I've seen this a lot with the Action Force figures. Has the magazine that pops out, so you can pop a new one in if you want to. Now, we're going to bring back this vest that we took off because these two magazines in the front pouch, if you're familiar with the Action Force line, this isn't going to surprise you at all, but these two magazines in the front pockets of the vest, if I can just get my fat fingers in there to pull them out, come out, and these are the spare mags for his assault rifle, and there we go. There's one. All right. Now we're going to put it back in after all of that. Also, we have his knife right here that is holstered in the front of his vest. So out of the package, he has a lot of accessories already packed on him. Let's set that aside. He also has his helmet right here, and we have seen this with the troop builders as well, that there's a socket right there that if you have the night vision goggles, you can put the night vision goggles on there. The earpieces come off, which we'll take a look at in a second. It doesn't fit very well over the sculpted head. Like, I feel like it sits a little too high. This is definitely made more for the smooth masked headpiece right there, as you can see. Now, we saw this with the infantry commandos, or at least the last time I saw this was with the infantry commandos, that those side flaps pop off and you have these communication options to put on there. Pop that off. Whoop, that's the wrong side. You have to pay attention to what side it's on. It keeps popping out of my fingers. I apologize for that. But then he has an earpiece there. And he has an earpiece here that fits in those little peg holes right there with a mic. And this is even a tighter fit on the unmasked head sculpt. See, it can get on there, but I don't think it looks right. I think it sits too high, and I think it's because of the hairpiece. But you can see that even with the communication setup on, it fits very well on the masked head sculpt, which once again could be considered an army builder. But don't worry, because even if you want to use this head sculpt, Blowback is not out of communications, because he also comes with just this standard headset that is a soft piece of rubber. It just fits over top. It fits right on him, and there he is in communication with headquarters while he's lining the shot up. I think this is a cool piece. I appreciate this being included in the figure. I do think we've seen this before with the Action Force. I swear I've seen this as a pack-in with some of the other figures, ones that I don't have, but I really think that is a really nice touch. Now, let's set him back there. One of the things that I'm sure you've been itching to see is this. This is his baby. This is his sniper rifle. This is a very solid case. Everything is in there, and you can hear that nothing is rattling around. Everything is held in there very nicely. Now, it is a bit of a weaker plastic that it feels like it might be a little brittle, so just watch it whenever you're clipping it closed so you don't snap those clips off. But then when you open it up, you have some real nice texturing on the inside right there. And here you have everything. You have his rangefinder. You have the stand for his rangefinder. Here is his open bipod, and here is his rifle with the closed bipod piece on it. Now we're going to take the rangefinder out first, and we're going to take a look at this, because this is a very easy setup to take a look at. You have your mount right here. You just spin that. You pop that up into place. You put that on the peg, and voila. There you have your rangefinder. I think this is a really cool addition. I think this is a really cool just accessory to have for the sniper. I kind of wish that Lowlight had come with something like this, although Lowlight does have the wind direction gauge, so there's that. And let's pop the rifle out. Now, something else that I really like, you may have noticed that when I was pulling this out, there's really no click when any of these things come out. That's because, with the exception of the open bipod right here, everything is just kind of held in with pressure. That you're not really clicking it in so much as this peg pushes up, this peg pushes down, this peg pushes in, and that pushes in. That it's just a very tight, smooth fit right in there. And I like that because without there being like little tabs that this clicks into, the camo paint deco is not going to rub off. And that's really cool. Now, I like how the paint deco is camoed on the rifle, except for the scope. The scope is still black, the bipod is still black, and the arm pad back here is still black. Also, the grip on it is a little bit more up and down than I think a real rifle of this type would. Like, I think in reality, this rifle, the hand grip here, would be more of an angle. But that's because with this type of grip, it actually fits very well into like an action figure hand. You have to do a little finagling with the thumb to get it around it. But you can see he has a really good grip on that, which a lot of times rifles like this, because they go more realistic and put the handle at an angle instead of up and down, I don't think they get as good of a grip on there. And he has this thing. Man, those headsets really stayed on too. So that's nice. I like how they designed that. I like how they engineered that. Now, the mono or the bipod that is included is the closed legs. That pops out like so. And then we can take the open bipod out of the rifle case. And it pops in like so. And then you can set him up for the snipe. And you can see it sits up very well right there on its own. So I like that. I think that's cool. I like the rifle case. I like the rangefinder. I like the rifle itself. I think this is a really nice setup that we have going on here. And then also having the communication headgear. I think this looks really cool. I like all of these accessories. Now we're going to take a look at what I'm sure all of you have come to see, and that is the Valaverse Ghillie Suit. It comes packaged in its own little bag that was inside the packaging, inside the box itself, and I really appreciate that. But also they included, and I thought this was a nice touch, instructions on the best way to put the ghillie suit on so that you're not straining the elastic bands that are on the inside. So let's get this open and let's take a look at what we have. So the first thing I'm noticing is that it is much more leafy than what I was expecting. I really thought this was just going to be like something just fuzzy. I wasn't expecting it to actually have like these strands simulating like the leaves and the branches and things that a sniper would put on his ghillie suit. I actually really like the look of it. I like the feel of it. And I like how it just stays close to everything. Like it's not a big bush that's like bulging out from the back. Inside we can see that it is basically just a cut piece of material, and all of this is either glued or sewn to it. I'm going to guess glued. But then we also have these elastic bands right here. So let's get Blowback in his ghillie suit and let's see how this looks. So according to the instructions, the first thing we want to do is get his feet in there, get his legs in. I found the easiest thing to do was to point the toe down. When I did this side, I didn't do that, and it got a little hairy. I was worried I was going to break the bands. But if you put the toe as far, pointing down as you can, it slides on there much easier. So we got the legs on. Now I think we're just going to bend the arms back, and we're going to try and slip the arms. Actually, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to pop the hand off so that we don't have to contend with that while we're slipping it through the bands. I think that might go a little easier. Yeah, that's going on there much easier, because I think actually with the gridiron one, oh, look how easy that went on. I think with the gridiron one, it recommended popping the hands off the figure as well, just for that reason. Okay, here we go. Here's Blowback in his ghillie suit, and one thing I can tell you that the Action Force ghillie suits have with the Gridiron Studios ghillie suits is they both shed. Like this one was shedding a lot. I shouldn't say a lot, but it was shedding while I was trying to get it on him. I still have some dusting here on my tabletop. It's not bad. I don't know. I don't know how I like this. And sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, that looks really cool. I like this. This is the ghillie suit I've been waiting for. Other times I look at it and I'm like, do I like the gridiron ones better? I'm not sure. One thing that's a little frustrating is that the hood here, while it does come up and fit Blowback's head very well, that was something that was one of the issues I had with the Gridiron Studios one, that I didn't feel like the hood came up very well. This one comes up and he can like really sink into it, but it actually holds shape a little too well, that it doesn't really, it's not actually touching his head. Like, it doesn't really come down on his head very well. So you have to watch how you position, especially his sleeves right here, because if you cinch them up too high, the hood will actually ride high. See that? How it's not even anywhere near? The hood will ride high. So you got to make sure those bands are low, which I hope doesn't interfere with his articulation. I haven't tried to pose him yet with this on. But then, like, his head, and that just looks cool. Like, with those eyes peering out from that dark shadowing, that looks really cool. I like that. So we have our elastic bands here. And this wasn't horrible. You saw that I popped off the hands to get them on the arms, and I angled the boots down. Well, when I angled the one boot down all the way, the leg bands went up much higher. Now, the instructions don't tell you how high these are supposed to ride. I just took a guess. I went with what's comfortable or what I think looks good. I don't feel like the leg bands are at the same height at the same location on the ghillie suit from side to side, and it's still shedding. So I don't know about that. The instructions do show having these top bands all the way wedged up into Blowback's armpits, but that's when you get like this big hood that's just popping up and not resting on his head. So really, it's going to depend on where you want to put them. Where I have them right now works best for me. I do like the look of it. I do. I really do like the look of it. I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. Once I get him posing, once I take some photos, I'll probably have a better idea, and I'll probably have a more thorough explanation of how I feel about this in the wrap-up at the end. But visually, especially when he's standing here like this and you can't see the bands, I think this looks really good. Also, I feel like this will hold to the character, hold to the figure better than the Gridiron Studio ones will. Also, going back to how this is all just sort of like smoothed out, I like the profile of him better wearing this than with the Gridiron Studio one. I don't know which is more correct. I don't know if a ghillie suit is supposed to be more streamlined, more form-fitting like this, or if it's supposed to be like a big bush on the ground. I've only seen them in movies, but I do like the look of him wearing this. Almost forgot, Blowback does come with his figure stand, his Action Force figure stand with the diamond tread pattern. This is done in green to match the rest of the figure. You have 4 pegs on there, and you have the little slot across the back where you can put his file card. Now for size comparison, here he is beside fellow Action Force figures from Valaverse, Sergeant Slaughter, and the Infantry Commando, whom we have seen previously in this video. And I'll tell you what, getting him out of the ghillie suit was actually much easier than I thought it was going to be. Here he is beside Hasbro G.I.Joe Classified Series Lowlight and Python Patrol Copperhead. Here he is beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Genis Vell and Binary. And now, just for fun, here he is between a couple of McFarlane Toys Warhammer 40k Space Marines. And finally, here he is between NECA Toys, Dungeons & Dragons, Warduke, and Grimsword. So right off the bat, I think I'm just going to say that I do like the Valaverse ghillie suit better than the Iron Studios ghillie suit, which kind of surprises me, because I thought I was going to like the Gridiron Studios version better. I do like the texture of the Gridiron Studios ghillie suit. I do like the coloring and the shading. It has a little bit more of, I feel like, a woodsy look to it with those dark greens. There's some brown thrown in there, and I like the coarseness of the threading that they used for it. However, there's a couple of issues with it that the Valaverse one doesn't have. The first one being the shedding. While I did say that both will shed, the Gridiron Studios ghillie suit continues to shed and shed and shed, so much to the point that I feel like eventually it's going to be like when they took Clippers, the Gossamer, and the Looney Tunes, that eventually it's going to shave down to nothing. that it's just going to end up being a backpack with a field radio attached to it. Or, yeah, a backpack with a field radio attached to it. With the Action Force ghillie suit, while it does shed, I noticed that even as I was playing around with it during the course of this video, it stopped shedding as much as it did in the beginning. Like, by the end of the video, there was still some little, remains being dropped here and there, but not to the point that I feel like it's going to continue forever and ever and ever. I feel like with the Action Force ghillie suit, it will eventually stop, and you'll have what you'll have. The other thing that I like about the Valaverse ghillie suit over the Gridiron Studios is that the way that it attaches. It uses those elastic bands around the legs and around the arms. And at first I didn't think I was going to like that, but there's two factors involved there. With the elastic bands around the legs and the arms, when you start posing your figure that's wearing it, you can kind of shift and adjust the suit for coverage where you need it, so that it looks like the figure, the character underneath, is always covered by it. The other thing that I like about the bands around the arms and the legs is that it's not requiring the backpack. It's not relying on the back peg. And the reason I point that out is because with the Gridiron Studios ghillie suit, I've never been able to get it to fit correctly on Shooter from the G.I.Joe line. Mostly because I feel like because it's a more compact body, the shoulders are closer to the peg hole on the back, that it's a little bit of a trick to wiggle the peg on to the socket and get it to connect properly. And then once you do get it to connect properly, you kind of got to wrench it to get it off, and then that causes more shedding. The other thing that I don't like about it is that when you get it on Shooter, because of her hair, the hood doesn't really come up over her head, and that was always a little bit annoying. With the Valaverse ghillie suit, though, I was able to get it on her, and she actually looks really good wearing it. I do hope that in the future, maybe with the next wave or as another accessory pack, that this sniper set that they have with the sniper rifle, the rangefinder, and the ghillie suit gets released as a weapons pack, the same way they have released the Arctic ghillie suit with the sniper case. I think that would be really cool if we could get one just in the forest green. I get why they're not doing it now because they're directing sales towards Blowback, but I think one thing that they could do to make the Blowback set stand out from the regular ones is just not give the sniper rifle the camo deco. Like maybe make it like just like a brown wooden stock or something like that. But either way, I do hope this forest ghillie suit and sniper rifle set they eventually release as a weapons pack. I also think I'm going to end up getting that Arctic ghillie suit and sniper rifle set and fit it on Snow Job and see how he looks wearing that. Also, it'd be kind of cool to see what a Snow Serpent looked like wearing these. Like, this has really gotten me thinking about, like, what characters would look good wearing these, whereas, like, the Gridiron Studio one that I picked up, I liked it, it looked good, I put Stalker in it, and I really didn't think about getting another one. This one, I kind of want more to outfit and give to other characters as part of their standard kit. Now, on to Blowback. What can I say? He's a standard Action Force figure, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. We know Action Force does a lot of reuse, especially in their bucks, but I think with this, with the camo pattern, that camo face paint on the head sculpt, the one eye closed head sculpt, he has a very unique feel to him, and with everything that he comes with, he definitely has a deluxe feel to him. Also, with the ability to turn him into an army builder, that's really interesting too. I'm curious to see if they will eventually release like just an infantry version with this camo paint job as an army builder, or if you would have to get more blowbacks to army build that. Although, in that case, you do have like a bunch of forest recon infantry, and then you have a bunch of ghillie suits that you can give to other characters. So maybe there's the answer to my question right there. The sniper rifle case is a little bit large for the figure and scale-wise. Like, it's really horkin' big. But I don't have a problem with that. It's an action figure. It's a toy. And to be honest, having the case that big and having everything be able to fit inside it, it kind of gave me like a little bit of feels, because I was thinking back to what my first action figure was which was a 12-inch G.I. Joe figure in a big plastic footlocker with trays for all of his accessories. So even though it's a little large, a little on the large side, maybe to scale to the figure, I dig it, I like it, I think it's a really cool touch, I want more of them. I probably haven't been this excited about a Valaverse Action Force figure since I got my original Steel Brigade figure. That's how much I'm liking this guy. And as excited as I am about him and as much fun as I had playing around with him, it's making me even more excited to open up Warpath Eclipse. So keep an eye out for that, because I haven't gotten her out of the box yet, but I'm already kind of getting plans on what I'm going to do with her. If you have the Gridiron Studios Ghillie Suit and you have the Valaverse Ghillie Suit, let me know in the comments below. Which one do you prefer? I definitely prefer the Valaverse one, and I will be planning on getting more of them if and when they go up for sale as just accessory packs. So until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.